It is
now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in. Our thoughts and prayers are with the good people of the greater Chappaqua, New York area. If you're looking to try to get Chardonnay in the local liquor stores or markets, the shelves are bare. Hillary has grabbed them all because she'll be chugging down gallons of wine as she waits for the fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein client list.
She's got to have been ready for this. It was coming. It was coming. But you know what? They'll get away with it. It's what happens with the Clintons. They just get away with it.
Bill will be giving the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure. Oh, wait, even better. Keynote. What about the commencement speech at Harvard?
That's just about right. Coming up at 8:05, Taylor Hanson, journalist covering the border, and at 8:35, Link Lauren on all things politics and pop culture. I'm Larry O'Connor. That, of course, is Mercedes Schlapp. And Mercedes, we both love this guy. He's a prince of a man.
Great guy, great American.
Rob O'Donnell, former police officer, New York Police Department Homicide Division, and now a radio host in his own right, hosting, shockingly, the Rob O'Donnell Show up there in Pennsylvania. Rob, good morning and Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Larry. Happy New Year, Mercedes. Good to hear you both on the air.
We wanted to check in with you as we now have the final numbers from 2023 in D.C. with regard to violent crime. 274 homicides, 35% increase year over year. Carjackings nearly doubled. Car thefts in general, 83%. Violent crime up 40%. You have seen this. You have seen this as a cop where you came out of the Dinkins era into a new approach in New York to address violent crime. It can be done. It can be addressed. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, when we go back to the Dinkins administration, you're talking about decades of neglect in New York City that caused that kind of rise in crime. Here you're talking about just a few years, and we've talked about this, Larry, of willful damage. I mean, they've created the policies that have created this. They've hogtied their police department with draconian measures. You can't pursue people. So, I guess car crimes are going to go up, car thefts and carjackings. Who didn't see that coming? The rise in crime, 40%, and they still, to this day, won't take accountability. They'll swear they have their constituents in mind, but it's their policies that put this in the HOV lane, the excessive crime, and this high-speed increase. You need, first of all, the wherewithal, the support, and the policies in place to allow the police departments to do their job. They're there, they're ready, they know what they need to do because they've already done it back in the late 80s, early 90s. They just need the guidance to do it.
I got to ask you, Rob, I think let's say that they're able to in these cities, they're able to reverse some of these policies, which I don't see it coming anytime soon. How long is it going to take to really see a difference in lowering crime, lowering these homicide rates? How long will it take? I mean, I just feel like when it was New York City and it was Rudy Giuliani who had to clean up the city, it takes time to really unwind all of these problems that we're seeing happening in our cities.
It's going to take 3 to 4 times the amount of time it took them to damage it. Now we look when they started the defund the police movement, when they started this criminal reform that was just it was basically criminal progression policies. It's going to take 3 to 4 years for every 1 year that happens. So what? The DC metro area is in their second or third year of this. So it's going to take 5, 6, 7 years for them to do this. Their recruitment is an all-time low, so they're going to have to recruit, they're going to have to train, and they're going to have to get them out there. And what we're not looking at, which I've shouted from the rooftops from the start, is you've lost your best. You've lost your most experienced officers. You've lost your officers with the most in touch with the communities that finally said, hey, I don't need this anymore. I can retire. I'm done. Or I'm going to change professions. Or I'm going to move down south to Florida or somewhere else where they treat me like a professional. So you've lost that experience that's out there that knows firsthand how to do this. And what you've done is you've promoted these younger guys that really never had the hands-on crime-fighting attitude to supervision now, and the leadership's not there. So it's definitely an uphill battle.
Well, and We've talked about this before, Rob. The idea of legacy policing in a family, in New York, Boston, Chicago, and yes, here in D.C., it's not uncommon to see sons and daughters take up dad's profession. It becomes part of the family identity that, we're a family of cops. You don't see that anymore. You've got cops, the generation of cops right now whose kids are, 18, 19, 20 years old. They're going out of their way to keep their kids from becoming cops because it's gotten so bad. I fear that we'll never get back to what we used to see.
Yeah, one of the greatest showings of what you're speaking about is a lot of the 9/11 officers that died on 9/11. Their children are now police officers. They lost their parents. Both guys and girls, sons and daughters of those officers that we lost are now police officers because of that legacy, because they wanted to fight terrorism. They wanted to fight crime. You're not seeing it now. I mean, look at myself as a prime example, Larry.
Yeah.
My kids, we've had the discussion of becoming law enforcement. They're both active duty military. That's the roles, that's the path they took instead of going into the police departments, because I saw it back then. This is not going in a good direction. And these things happen in ebbs and flows. We've seen the police at an all-time low in the 70s. Then they came to the peak, when we changed the nation in crime and reduced crime across the nation based on the New York City model. And now we're seeing that kind of come down because things were so good for so long. And when things are so good, when crime's low, you take it for granted and you think you could do without it.
Mercedes, I know you guys are in the middle of planning CPAC right now, but crime is such a major issue. I'm sure you're going to have panels on the crime issue, right? At CPAC
definitely.
this year? We got to get O'Donnell up there.
We got to get O'Donnell up there.
He'll be on the panel.
But you won't be moderating that panel. We always put you,
No,
Larry.
I do. I'm a specialized type. I don't have. We'll leave it at that. Rob O'Donnell, my friend. Happy New Year. Great to hear your voice, and I guess we'll see you at CPAC for sure coming up in February.
Just made my reservations yesterday.
There you go.